Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, August 27th. This is Gina McGuire. Today we'll see winds increase once again across the northern half of the Great Basin, with west to southwest wind gusts around 25 or up to 30 miles per hour at times, especially over southeast Idaho into western Wyoming, where we still have many ongoing large fires. We'll also see drier conditions over the northern half of the basin, with thunderstorms lingering over southern Utah, southern Nevada, and the Arizona Strip today. However, these thunderstorms, similar to yesterday, will be wet. We will see increasing southwest winds the first half of next week over parts of Nevada into Idaho, and we will be monitoring this for any increases in fire potential. Over the last 24 hours, we had quite a bit of lightning activity over eastern and southern Utah into the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada. However, these thunderstorms were very wet, with areas in the far south seeing anywhere from a quarter to over a half inch of rainfall, and further north over eastern and central Utah, rainfall amounts ranged between a tenth and up towards a quarter of an inch. Further west, where we did see a couple of lightning strikes over central Nevada into the Sierra, these were very spotty and only produced light amounts of rainfall. Over the last 24 hours, our lightning activity is shown by the red dots on the map. Generally light initial attack, with most fires reported across Utah, into eastern Nevada, and a few small fires reported north into Idaho. However, we still do have many large fires ongoing across the basin. Our observed precipitation over the last 1 to 4 weeks. The last 7 days is on the left, and you can see no precipitation over the northern half of the Great Basin, with only some rainfall with thunderstorms in the south. Over the last 30 days, this dryness has continued, and in some areas of Idaho and northern Nevada much longer than 30 days, with no precipitation reported. And even as you move further east and south, only light amounts until you get into far southern and eastern Utah, southern Nevada, and the Arizona Strip. How this has affected our fuels. Fuels over the northern half of the Great Basin remain very critical and above the 85th to 90th percentile, with many areas still above the 97th percentile due to the very dry conditions. We did see fuels moderate recently along the Sierra front due to some rainfall with thunderstorms last week, but they continue to rise again as the dry conditions and breezy winds return. Over the southern part of the Great Basin, ERCs remain below the 50th percentile. We may see some drying as we go into early next week, but these fuels in these areas will likely still remain below the 50th percentile. The water vapor satellite loop from this morning shows a trough of low pressure moving into the northwest, which will be responsible for our increasing winds across Idaho into northern Nevada today. And we do have low pressure over the Arizona Strip into southern Nevada, which is producing showers and thunderstorms this morning. And this is where we'll continue to see that lightning activity and wetter conditions over the southern part of the Great Basin. Looking back at our weather pattern today and our significant fire potential, again that trough is moving through the basin with increasing winds over parts of northern areas. These winds will likely remain below 30 miles per hour, but again the increase in winds after a day or so of lighter winds is noted over parts of southeast Idaho into western Wyoming. Also, dry conditions will continue with low to moderate fire potential in the northern half of the Great Basin and relatively low fire potential still in the south. Today, the weather picture is on our left, and you can see where these showers and thunderstorms will occur, with areas of smoke, obviously, with our fires across Idaho. The wind gust is on the right, and you can see these wind speeds are generally around 25 to 30 miles per hour at times over southeast Idaho into western Wyoming, with wind direction out of the southwest to west, and also breezy winds over the northern half of Nevada. As we move into Sunday, we have high pressure building with drier conditions across the basin. We still may have some moisture in the far southern or southeastern portion of Utah for some lightning activity, and these will again be wet with drier conditions further north. We'll also see the breezy winds continue, but maybe a little bit less than what we'll see today across Idaho. So looking at the weather picture, again, those thunderstorms are confined a little bit further east and south than today, and those winds a little bit weaker than what we'll see today, but still somewhat breezy out of the southwest or west across western Wyoming into southeast Idaho and along parts of western Nevada. As we move into Monday, we see a deeper trough developing along the west coast, and as this moves in, we'll see our winds increase again next week. Now the dry conditions spread across the Great Basin, with really most areas not seeing any lightning activity. As we look at our significant fire potential, we do see some drying over parts of southern and eastern Nevada, but again, fuels still remain non-critical over much of the southern portion of the Great Basin and much more critical further north. On Monday, showing the relative humidity on the left, and you can see these drier conditions spread further east, with all areas over the western and northern portion of the basin in the single digits to low teens, where relative humidity will start dropping over southern Utah. Also, the winds on Monday still somewhat breezy, but nothing extravagant over parts of western and northern Nevada into Idaho, but wind speeds generally between 15 and 20 miles per hour. If we look at the overall amount of forecast precipitation, again, those wetting rains associated with the thunderstorms continue over the southern half of the Great Basin, with dryness further north. Now looking at our weather pattern on Tuesday, the trough of low pressure moves in off the west coast and our winds will be increasing across the Great Basin, especially western and northern areas. And what is not depicted very well on this map is a very weak disturbance moving in embedded in the southwest flow across western and northern Nevada into Idaho and the northwest, and this may trigger some lightning. However, right now it looks like the better chances will be north and west of the Great Basin, but we will continue to monitor this as any drier lightning in these areas, where fuels are very critical, could have significant impacts. Right now we're just looking at the increase in winds across the Great Basin with low to moderate fire potential. We have not added any high risk yet for winds, but we will be watching this especially for parts of Idaho into northern Nevada. On Wednesday, this trough continues to push in, again with those drier conditions. We may now start to see a little bit more moisture develop across parts of Utah, northeast Nevada into eastern Idaho and western Wyoming for possibly some showers and thunderstorms by the middle of next week. Looking at Thursday, drier air pushes in further west, and we may still see some showers and thunderstorms continuing over the eastern side of the Great Basin, and also possibly into the central Idaho mountains along with some cooler temperatures. However, any real impacts with cooler weather might not be felt until closer to the weekend. We continue with low to moderate fire potential, again with fuels more critical in the north and west. By Friday, that southwest flow continues as the trough moves in, and we may finally start to see some cooling as we approach the weekend. More likely we'll hold off until later in next weekend, and possibly even some moisture in the northern part of the basin. Looking at our overall precipitation accumulation for the next 7 days, and again the main accumulation is over the southern portion of the Great Basin, but as we get into the middle of next week, we may see some rainfall a little bit further north. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us through the first week of September, we're seeing more of a below normal temperature trend as those troughs of low pressure move into the west coast, and also may finally start to see some precipitation affecting parts of Idaho into northern Nevada, with now drier conditions further south. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.